To his community, he was a devoted father, a man who never missed a school event. But the friendly neighbor with the picture-perfect family was a carefully constructed lie. This is the story of how that lie shattered, and the timeline of a horrifying betrayal that ended with the murder of his 3 young daughters. In the serene landscape of Washington State, the Decker family, 32-year-old Travis and his 3 bright daughters, 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia, seemed to live a life of simple suburban peace. It was an image of family joy, but it was an illusion. On May 30th, 2025, a scheduled weekend visit would unravel that image, sparking one of the largest manhunts in the state's history and leaving a community with one haunting question. How could a father do this to his own children? This is the timeline of that desperate search and the ongoing hunt for a man who committed an unspeakable crime and vanished without a trace. For Whitney Decker, the girl's mother, the evening of Friday, May 30th, was supposed to be a routine custody exchange. Her ex-husband, Travis Decker, arrived to pick up Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia for a court-approved visit. Despite their divorce, the handoffs had always been civil. But this time was different. When the 8 p.m. curfew came and went with no sign of the girls, Whitney's concern began to build. She called Travis's phone, but it went straight to voicemail, a behavior she later told police was completely out of character. A knot of dread started to form. This was not right. By the next morning, dread had become full-blown panic. Authorities issued an endangered missing person alert, but not an Amber Alert. That decision, based on the fact that Travis was a custodial parent and the strict criteria for imminent danger had not technically been met, would later cause a public outcry. The search was immediately complicated when police learned Travis was homeless, living out of his truck and drifting between motels and campgrounds. The first solid lead came from a license plate reader. His white GMC Sierra pickup was spotted crossing a bridge in Wenatchee shortly after he picked up the girls. And then nothing. For 2 days, an entire state held its breath, praying for a safe return. On the afternoon of June 2nd, the agonizing search came to a brutal end. Near the remote Rock Island campground in Chelan County, authorities located Travis's abandoned pickup truck. A short distance away, down a small embankment, investigators made a discovery that sent a tremor of horror through the nation. The bodies of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. The scene spoke to a chilling level of preparation and cruelty. An autopsy would confirm the girls died from suffocation. They had been bound with zip ties, with plastic bags placed over their heads. This was not a crime of passion. It was a meticulously executed act. And in the midst of this unimaginable scene, one person was missing: Travis Decker. The search for a father and his children was over. A manhunt for an alleged killer had just begun. The evidence against Travis Decker mounted with terrifying speed. A bloody fingerprint found on the truck's tailgate was a direct DNA match. Other blood samples from the scene also pointed to a male, and there was no indication anyone other than Travis and his daughters had been present. Inside the truck, the girls' car seats and a wallet sat undisturbed on the center console. As detectives dug into his life, the image of the devoted father began to disintegrate. Court documents revealed a man in a downward spiral. Just months earlier, Whitney Decker had petitioned the court to modify their parenting plan, citing Travis's deteriorating mental health and growing instability. Homeless and increasingly erratic, she had asked a judge to suspend his overnight visits until he secured stable housing. She detailed alarming incidents of him screaming in the middle of the night and exercising power or control. But the most damning evidence was found on his computer. On May 26th, just 4 days before the murders, Travis had allegedly performed several disturbing online searches: how to relocate to Canada and searches for a Canadian job site. Furthermore, his cell phone had pinged at the exact campground where the girls' bodies were found just 1 day before he killed them, as if he was scouting the location for his crime. The man they were hunting was not a father who snapped, but one who had planned. With Travis Decker as the only suspect, the lingering question was why. While authorities have not declared an official motive, The evidence points to a man pushed to the edge. Facing financial ruin, homelessness, and the potential loss of custody, he may have seen this monstrous act as a final, twisted form of control over his ex-wife. As Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison stated, "I don't think the motive is going to matter. 3 young girls have been killed." The manhunt was instantly complicated by Travis's past. He was a former Army infantryman who served from 2013 to 2021, including a tour in Afghanistan. He had been assigned to the elite 75th Ranger Regiment and possessed advanced training in survival and navigation. The rugged Cascade Wilderness wasn't just a backdrop, it was a place he could disappear. One of the state's largest manhunts unfolded across the treacherous mountains of Chelan and Kittitas counties with helicopters, drones, K-9 units, and hundreds of personnel scouring the terrain. At one point, hikers reported a lone man in the encampments who seemed ill-equipped and actively avoided contact. A helicopter crew spotted a solo hiker who fled from view, and dogs tracked a scent to a trailhead before it vanished. But despite these glimmers, Travis Decker remained a ghost. Authorities now concede there's no certain evidence he is still alive and have considered the possibility he died from exposure in the wilderness. Still, they haven't ruled out the theory that someone, somewhere, is helping him hide. The search for Travis Decker, now led by the U.S. Marshal Service, is active and ongoing. A $20,000 reward is offered for information that leads directly to his arrest. What do you believe happened to him? Is he hiding in the mountains, or did he find a way to escape? Share your theories in the comments below. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, please contact the Chelan County Sheriff's tip line. This case has left a wound on a family and a community. A mother is navigating the unthinkable loss of her 3 children, while a town grapples with a shattered sense of security. The tragedy has sparked urgent conversations about the family court system, mental health services for veterans, and the criteria for issuing emergency alerts. But beyond the manhunt and the search for justice, the true heart of this tragedy is the loss of 3 beautiful lives. Peyton, 9 years old, Evelyn, 8 years old, and Olivia, just 5, 3 sisters whose futures were stolen by the ultimate betrayal. They deserve to be remembered not for how they died, but for the joy and light they brought into the world. The search for their father and for justice in their names continues.